What's up, YouTube? This is once again Too Raw for TV. So, first of all, let me shout out Aaron for letting me know about this. I didn't catch any post game comments from anybody, coaches, players, analysts, former players, none of that stuff. So I'm catching all this stuff now. After they won the title, you know what I'm saying? I went on my brother's 78 Sports TV's show. We talked a little trash, talked a little, trash about the Bucks winning, and I went to bed. You know what I'm saying? Um, so this is news to me. And shout out to Ticket TV because I saw he did a video talking about this very subject. I want to piggyback on something that Ticket was talking about. So let me say this about Skip Bayless. Skip, you're a clown. You're everybody sees what you're doing. You know that LeBron James's career is going to come to a close in a couple of years. Definitely at least his peak years. So you're trying to find someone else to latch on to for the last 10 or so years of your career. Skip, you're 70, okay? You're 70 years old. Your years as an active, day to day sports commentator on television, I give you about a decade. I give you 10 more years. Giannis will cover that. So we all know what you're doing. You're finding another target for you to live off of the next decade. That's fine. As long as we all know that's what you're doing. So I want to address something. A guy has, in my opinion, the greatest NBA Finals individual game performance ever. And you say that Chris Middleton is the closer and you're giving credit all to Chris Middleton. Okay, so does that mean that John Paxson was the closer in '93, even though Jordan averaged 41 points a game in that finals, even though Jordan was the only guy other than Paxson to score in that fourth quarter? Does that mean that John Paxson is the closer because he hit what was essentially the game winning shot? Does that mean that Steve Kerr in 1997 was the closer and the man on that team because he hit the bucket which essentially sealed their fifth title, even though Jordan I think had 39 points in that game, and because he was double teamed, he kicked it to Kerr. You know, don't worry, I'll be open. Remember Steve was saying that on the bench. That means that he's the man now. You're so easy to dissect and to destroy. And if you want to play all these woulda, coulda, shouldas, well, if Katie's foot was an inch further back, and if it wasn't for injuries, okay. Well, like I said in a video last week, people forgot that the 1990-91 Bulls, one of their main focuses for why they wanted to repeat is because they wanted to legitimize the first championship. Because a lot of people felt that the first title wasn't legitimate. Why do I say this? Because the Bulls themselves benefited from injuries. Key players for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who at that time, and I'm talking about that team with Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, Craig Elo. I can't remember whether Ron Harper was still there. I think he was gone by then. But they had critical injuries to their team, which people forgot that that team was considered a potential '90s championship team at the time. They had injuries to that team. There was key injuries to, I believe, the Atlanta Hawks that year. There were key injuries, obviously, to the Boston Celtics. At one point, they had the best record in the NBA, 29-5. Larry Bird was playing exceptional basketball. Then he got hurt. I think he only played 40-some games that year. The Detroit Pistons, the reigning champions, who were going for a three-peat. Isaiah Thomas had to have surgery on his shooting wrist. He was never the same player after that. They had other injuries they were dealing with. And then in the finals, the Lakers didn't have James Worthy. Would that have made a difference? I don't know. But these are some key injuries. I can go further. In 1996, in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Bulls swept the Orlando Magic 4-0, but the Magic didn't have Horace Grant, the former Chicago Bull. Now, before you say they don't make a difference, need I remind you that in that finals, the Chicago Bulls out-rebounded the Orlando Magic on average, I think 45-33. That was a distinct advantage. If you put Horace Grant in, who provided some size, who provided some resistance in the paint, and himself was a rebounder who would give you, on average, 10, 11 boards a game at that peak time, maybe that makes a difference. A lot of those games were very close, except for that game one blowout, I think. So let's keep it 100. One other point I want to make, since you always want to say what could have been, what should have been, Game 6 of 1998 final between the Utah Jazz and Chicago Bulls. Everybody remembers the Jordan hit that championship ceiling shot, 87, 86, 45 points. But do you remember that there was a three-pointer in that game that was credited to Ron Harper that should not have counted? He released it after the buzzer. But since you didn't have reviews back then where they could rescind shit, it was, a missed call. Remember Howard Isley, I think, shot a three-pointer at the buzzer that was waved off. That should have counted. So instead of the final score being 87-86, it could have been 89-84 Utah. Now, you could argue that different strategies and, different things would have happened. But if Utah wins that game, as tired as Chicago was at that time, and as worn down as they were, maybe they go to Utah and get blown out. And we're having a different conversation about the legacy of Karl Malone and John Stockton. And Jordan's legacy wouldn't be so, dominant in other people's minds. 5-1 in the finals now instead of 6-0. But these are just some points I'm trying to make to show why Skip Bayless is full of shit. But back to Giannis Antetokounmpo. I like the fact that he said he doesn't approve of super teams and he wants his rings the hard way. I love it. Yes, he's parroting his former mentor, the late great Kobe Bryant. And that shows me that Kobe left a definite impression on this young man. Okay? Not so much with some other guys where they want to just emulate his game. Giannis wants to emulate his mindset, the Mamba mentality. That's more important to me. It's not all about flash and dash and trying to score points and all that. People got to remember, Kobe was probably generally miserable at that time. Yes, he was scoring a lot of points. Yes, he was dropping 81 points and 50 points in three quarters and 42 points at a half, whatever the case may be. But was he really happy knowing Kobe? He had to do so much just to get this team in playoff contention. And he didn't stack the deck. Yeah, they got Pau Gasol, but Pau wasn't a notable guy. Pau wasn't a guy everybody was looking at that time. All-star, yes, but he wasn't a guy that was turning the league up. And the Memphis Grizzlies weren't doing anything. Andrew Bynum was homegrown, wasted a lot of his potential. He could have been a Hall of Famer. Oh well. Meta World Peace. You need a guy like that to win a championship. You need some type of hustler. Every championship team needs some type of hustler. The Bucks, the closest they had to that was Bobby Portis. You need that type of dude. Remember, Kobe couldn't get it done for a minute. He couldn't figure out Boston. Ultimately, they did. I love it that a guy like Giannis is at the helm of the NBA because this is showing younger people you don't have to stack the deck. You don't have to have all of the talent on one team to win a title. You don't. And I'm telling you, the thing I love the most is you can play balanced basketball. Fuck analytics. You don't have to shoot 53 pointers to win a title. And it shows the importance of post play. Historically, the center position has been critical to winning championships. That's just been erased over the last 10 to 15 years by analytics. Fuck them. I honor the George Mikens and the Bill Russells and the Wilt Chamberlains and the Wes Unsells and the Elvin Hayes and the Kareems, you know, and the Artis Gilmores and the Nate Thurmans and the Moses Malone and the Bob Laniers and you know the Patrick Ewings, the Dave Robinsons, the Kings, the Shaqs. You know what I'm saying? The Jack Sigmas. Maybe Giannis inspires a new era of young big men. They don't just have to sit back and shoot threes, or they think their role only is to rebound and kick it back to the point guard and watch him score all the points. You can work on your post game. You know, you can develop a hook shot. Yeah, actually be a center. But I'm glad that Kobe Bryant, you know, his challenge to Giannis was completed, and much respect to Giannis Antetokounmpo and Milwaukee Bucks, and fuck all the haters.